Good, good. I don't know. I guess so. It's getting really serious. Oh, shoot.
It won't be long. I hope it dries up though. It looks like it.
It sounds like we're gonna get some more.
That's right, yeah. That's good. Not good.
Howdy doody.
All right. Hi, Cody.
Hey, how's it going?
All right.
Free dinner.
Hey, Donna, you sitting over there by JD? That lady?
She bought the house that Nancy lived in. I can't remember her last name.
Jesse.
Yeah, the blue house. Rick lived in. Bought it off of Jesse.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I can't remember their last name. Is that Jesse?
Yeah.
Lived there quite a few years.
Thank you, appreciate it.
It's all right. You can do what you need to do.
You don't need him?
What are you up to?
Strange question.
Yeah.
I guess Strickers is probably just pastor up here.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, really?
That's our
That's our new minister.
Huh?
Our new minister.
I don't know how to put where.
Oh, you sure? George shook his head. He said, "So you're the new preacher up here?"
Well, we don't.
I'm assuming. Thank you.
I heard he was coming. I didn't know what he
No,
looked like.
I am no good at taking notes. I can't read my own when I'm done. So.
Who's sitting next to Pat?
Where's she?
Well, here's the meeting agenda. Here's everything I'm supposed to include in the story.
And Kath was there.
And Kat was there, yes. And other was there.
Over that part there.
You've been volunteered.
Wilson, the thing he's gonna do is change his shirt.
I know. That's why I said he was in that way.
You've been volunteered.
For what?
Go sit there and take notes.
Uh-oh. Oh, and Janie's not coming.
Oh, I know. She's already volunteered me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's no agenda minutes? Or
You still
agenda?
hanging out with this guy?
I don't know.
You sure looked a lot nicer when I saw you this morning.
What do you mean? Oh,
Like my dress shirt?
Yeah.
Computers, printers.
I see you sometimes when you're leaving for work.
Oh, okay. Come on,
Back row.
Come on.
No, I don't work there anymore.
Pretty good.
There's some seats up front,
But as I'm
sir. There's some seats up there. Oh, okay.
Hey, Stripe, come on up here.
You see what happens when you go out in public?
Hey,
Give it up.
Yeah,
Exactly.
This guy roped you in there.
there you
I got
go.
old bad knees, I gotta get up there a few minutes, I don't wanna bother people.
Oh, I'm full of it.
Oh, well, there, how you doing?
Slow.
Yeah, I know.
I'm the same way, so. I don't need a rush.
Well,
Hey.
I guess I'm working the thing.
Let me get some coffee here, folks, and then we'll go.
They still have to. There's two.
How are you? Haven't seen you in a while, Wayne. You behaving?
I did.
You lie.
All right.
I've been planning this meeting for weeks, and the computer takes a dump right before the meeting. Uh-huh. Isn't that crazy? Hi. How are you? Cheat pens. Oh, gosh. My apologies. I guess I'll wrap the gavel. Boom. It's official. How's everyone tonight? So it says here, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call this meeting to order. And we'll have a quick roll call. So, Leanne, you can go ahead and call the roll.
Ms. Jones?
Mr. Lund?
Mr. Lund?
Mr. Lund.
Mr. Sandbeck?
Here. Hi. Must have one
Who
here.
knows?
Thank you. Please join me in salute to our flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. We'll be joined shortly
Okay.
by Mr. Haynes, our attorney.
Jerry.
How's everyone tonight?
Good. All right.
Great. I like good. I like great. It's awesome. First thing we're going to do this evening is to say thank you. And let's see. You better go get your mama.
Oh,
As we know, this has been quite an odyssey. We've had a lot of fun along the way, and a lot of people have stepped up to help. And I can only tell you, I'm really, really, really grateful to this individual we're going to retrieve here in a minute. And we're just gonna have a little bit of fun. This was supposed to happen last month, but somebody played hooky, went to a softball game. Phyllis, please come up here. I want to, I'm going to pull this shut a little bit so we have some better light for Jordan.
Thanks.
Look at that, Jordan.
Hey, great.
You know, when this all went down, it was pretty scary. And there were some folks that stepped up to help, to come here to anchor the desk. And I cannot tell you how wonderful it's been to have Phyllis at the desk every day. Who's going to argue with Grandma, right? She is magnificent on the phone, dealing with our patrons. She's a great problem solver, and she's really a joy to have in the office. I simply have no idea what we would have done without Phyllis. So Phyllis, from all of us, this is the Town of Bremen Shining Star Award, and it is to honor your outstanding performance and dedication. We present Phyllis A. Grell this commendation in recognition of your faithful commitment to the Town of Bremen as demonstrated by your exemplary service as interim municipal clerk. And I signed it, and Darlene signed it, and James signed it. We actually had it ready for you the 7th, but you were down, I think, in Shawnee at a softball game. So, you know where we rate with her. But,
Sorry.
my Here, you just do this part right here.
There
That's
you
proof.
go.
Yeah.
Proof.
Proof.
Okay. All right. Smile real big, act like you wore deodorant. Okay, thank
Like
you.
it? Thank you. Yes. Yes, indeed. We got another superstar here tonight who said yes, they will come and help. And so Leanne, thank you for jumping back in to help us tonight. Okay. Reading and approval of the previous meeting minutes is our first agenda item this evening. We do have the minutes here. If anybody wants them to be read or reviewed, I would do my best. I would also move to entertain a motion to dispense with the reading. So we have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes. Roll call vote, please. Leanne.
Ms. Jones? Yes. Mr. Sandberg?
Yes. The motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes is approved. Okay. We have lots of items on the agenda tonight, and I want to go directly to item, it would be 2A, consideration of possible action on the consent agenda. Now, I want to talk about the consent agenda a little bit, and I want to beg your indulgence on the modification and explain some of the things that are happening. I do have a summary of all the checks that we have written. It's really at this point still kind of a hodgepodge. And what we're doing is we're writing checks as we have money to pay the bills. Tonight, Darlene doesn't get paid. James was here, he wouldn't get paid tonight. We will work on that tomorrow and the next day as we have a little bit more money in the coffers. Everyone's been very good about paying their utility bills, and we are making progress. However, this is an exercise in juggling the balls in the air. You know, I never knew I was a juggler, but by golly, we're doing well. We're okay. We haven't written any hot checks yet that I'm aware of. So. But without going into great detail, if there is no objection, I would move for a motion to approve the consent agenda as explained, and we will move on to the next item. Is there a motion? Mrs. Lennon has moved, or Mrs. Johns has moved that we have a motion to dispense with the consent agenda details. I will second that motion. Roll call vote.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Sandberg?
Yes. Motion is carried. Okay. We have item 2A. Discussion, consideration, and action regarding the final installment of $5,200 due to be paid to Dice Roofing, not later than 31 May. I wish to report that I spoke with Mr. Dice yesterday, and he is not for sure that we owe him that much. So that's good news. And he also understands our situation and has said he will get back with us to work out an arrangement, and essentially he said, no worries. So I'm confident we're going to be able to work out a repayment with Dice Roofing that will be accommodating to everybody involved. Is there any discussion or any question on item 2A? If not, I would move to entertain a motion to accept the conditions that Mr. Dice has explained to us regarding repayment. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Jones? Mr. Sandberg?
Yes. Motion is carried. Item 3. This has been a doozy. That's all I can say. And we have prepared, and it is for everyone's review, if you wish, the Town of Bremen, Oklahoma proposed annual budget for fiscal year July 1, 2019 to June 30, 2020. I would be remiss if I did not absolutely acknowledge the technical assistance of Sally Johnson for helping us navigate through this very interesting puzzle. And I think we have come up with a proposal that will meet with your approval. And I just want to quickly explain, it is a complete rewrite of the past year's budget. However, it is a reflection, the data used was a reflection of what was spent before. And we have changed, moved money around. We've moved quite a bit of money around to different things. And in doing so, we are going to shoot for a $17,000 surplus by the end of the year. Sounds pretty modest, but it beats overspending by a bunch. think we can do this. I think we can maybe even do a little better. But the idea being that when you look in the OML handbook, it is very specific about encumbrances and what you can or cannot do in the budget. And I think this is a document. Darlene will have a copy to bring with her tonight. We will discuss in a little bit about scheduling our hearings. And we are under a time crunch, but I would pass this copy of the budget around to anyone here who would like to see it this evening. In fact, Gene, if you wish, you can just pass that copy around. I think there's a copy in James's folder. If you wish, we'll pass that around as well. Now, having said that, when we talk about the dates that we have to do these next steps in order to follow the criteria, in looking at the calendar, because we are a little bit close, and the flood didn't help us one bit in getting this work done. So if we look at the calendar tonight being June 4th, that means that tomorrow the budget will be published in our webpage. That's the best we can do as far as the publication tomorrow. We will get a public notice out to the Blackwell Journal Tribune so they can publish next Wednesday the 12th. So what does that mean? Well, in accordance with the criteria in the handbook, it means that we have to have a date not later than the 17th of June for a budget hearing. That is a Monday. So what you will read online, with Ms. John's approval, what you will read online tomorrow and then next Wednesday in the BJT will be a budget hearing to be held on Monday the 17th, and it will be held at a time that's convenient for all parties involved. That is announced, so everyone in this room, everyone in this community can come to this meeting and be heard. Okay? So keep that in mind. It looks like the 17th, Monday the 17th, will be the budget hearing. That's about as tight as we could get it. Now, on the 25th of this month is our designated special meeting. We do not have a meeting in July. So our designated special meeting is the 25th. That works out nicely because that day we can do our budget resolution. And that can be published. And then, once we get past that, then we can file the budget with the state auditor and meet all the requirements thereof. And that's going to be really important for us this year for a couple of reasons. Number one, we've been a little tardy in the past. And when you're tardy on submitting your budget to the state auditor, some ugly things start to happen. It seems like the state legislators have put in place some penalties and we lose our gasoline tax. So we are going to make that this year, get that submitted in time. So, any questions about the budget? I'd be happy to do my best to explain what we have changed. In this budget, you will see money for our planning commission. You will see basically a zero budget in the pool this year. We have plans on resurrecting the pool, but we're not going to designate funds this year. If we designate funds this year, then we're obligated to spend funds then. And if we don't have our plan in place, then we've got money tied up that we can't really move around. It's better to have nothing in the pot and to be able to find ways to raise money than to have something committed and not spend it. You get just as much trouble that way. Any questions? Everybody's aware of the 17th. It looks like Monday the 17th will be the hearing date for the budget. Darlene, do you have a time of day that works best for you? The 17th on a Monday?
Everything's okay in June.
Noon time? Do you want a daytime meeting?
I'd rather have the evening.
Evening meeting? Okay, what time?
Probably 6, 7, regular.
Regular time, 7 o'clock? Okay. Is that a motion? I would move to entertain a motion to set the hearing for the 2019-2020 annual Town of Bremen municipal budget as being 7 p.m. Monday, the 17th of June. Do I have a motion? You make a motion also.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
All right. We have a motion. I will make the second to that motion. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Ms. Jones? Yes. Mr. Sanders?
Yes. Okay. Item 4, public personal appearances. We had no one specifically request time for the floor. We will entertain that toward the end of the meeting. Reminder, please, from someone, if you have something you wish to bring up to the attention of the board, please bring that to our attention. Okay, so last meeting, we had we got cart before the horse, so to speak. And so we want to discuss these next two items, 4A and 4B. 4A is representatives from Blackwell Power requested, I asked them to come, as I asked JD to come. We can talk about these interim mutual aid agreements. There's been some question as to what these all mean. I'll just provide a little bit of backdrop here. On the 1st of October in 1990, there was an agreement reached between the City of Blackwell and Blackwell Power Authority, for the proviso of electrical power. This document has been in effect since that time, and in this form right here, it's just been renewed year after year, as I understand. As we get on down the road here a little bit, we have to get into a position where we can work on multi-year contracts. And the municipality does not have that authority. That's why this document has lived in its current iteration, if you will, from year to year being renewed, 12 months at a time. But contracts of this nature just generally aren't favorable to both the vendor nor the patron. So we'll try to do something different. Having said that, in this document, on page number 4, paragraph 11, it talks about additional utility assistance that is provided to our community by Blackwell Power. And I'd ask your indulgence while I read this in its entirety. As part of this transaction, the lessee agrees to furnish the lessor, so Blackwell Power agrees to furnish Bremen with technical assistance, equipment, and manpower to the extent available for the operation, repair, or replacement of the sewer system and water system owned and operated by Bremen. Such services shall be provided at the rate of $25 per truck per hour and $15 per man per hour for the time actually utilized. That gives you an idea of the age of this document. I don't believe you could start the truck for $25. And I don't know anybody that would do anything for $15 an hour anymore, but certainly not water and sewer services. Services provided to the lessor for sewer and or water system purposes shall not be considered as one of the regular service calls provided by the monthly operations and maintenance fees set out in paragraph 10. That's a $300 a month maintenance fee, and literally for that fee we get 10 runs. 10 runs up here, and I think I've used all 10 this month, I'm pretty sure. I think we maybe have done past that. All materials provided by the lessee for sewer system and or water system maintenance, construction, or repair shall be billed to Bremen at Blackwell's cost plus 10% handling charge. So, in long terms, there has been an interim support agreement, or a support agreement in place since 1990. The purpose of the mutual aid agreement that was fashioned and signed back on the 2nd day of May 2019 was signed by the Blackwell City Council, and it's just a further clarification, if you will, of this agreement. Okay. And how that all came about was basically due to Bremen not being in a position to take care of itself in the event of some really difficult things happening. Water testing sounds pretty simple, unless you don't know how to do it. Okay. Reading meters sounds pretty simple, unless you don't know where they are. So we got some assistance. And a subsequent generous offer came from Case Services, who provides our water. And this document came from Mr. Solik last meeting, right, same day, I believe. And so didn't have a lot of time to look at it, but essentially they have a vested interest in our water system because they in fact bring it here. Blackwell provides it to them, and Case Services provides it to us. So they have concerns, rightfully so, understood and agreed. Because they've got 27 customers downstream of us. So we are at a place where we have to figure out what to do. There's the backdrop. I'll open the floor for comments, questions, concerns. Ms. Jones, do you have anything?
Well, we were supposed to sign a new contract last September or October. And Blackwell got into a bunch of trouble. And we never got it done. And they never told us what it was. So we've been operating all this time from them saying that they was going to sign a contract, or one did sign a contract, and we never have. So I don't know if you talked to them about what they want.
Well, the only thing I go by is what's in the book, and we have to establish a trust.
Yeah.
And so that's our next big question.
I don't know what they, I know that they're going to increase things from this contract. But when they raise their water, they would just raise their water. We had to kind of go, if they raise their water, we had to raise our water. You know, they didn't give us any notice. That's about it.
Mr. Clark.
Yeah, and Marv and I had some conversations after the meeting last month, and certainly the letter that I've given Marv earlier in the afternoon and in the council meeting, Mr. Leonard and Mr. Johns at the meeting, certainly what I'm trying to do. You had an agenda item there that we kind of got off base with, and I'm supportive of this, because anytime that you have extra resources to come and help, I think it's better. So I'm in favor of your mutual aid agreement for the short-term. And what I was doing is trying to, on behalf of Blackwell Rural Water, through Case Services, which is the maintenance arm of Blackwell Rural Water, to be able to come in and assist the City of Blackwell's utility department, if needed, to be able to go ahead and provide service downstream to our community. So, and we kind of got into a snowball last meeting, if I recall, and it ended up being, we voted to do Case Services. Well, that really wasn't on your agenda. That should have been down to new business as a further aid to help out in case you need it. So, for this interim agreement, I was okay, certainly supportive of that, and I just wanted to be able to come and help with Case Services extra. We do that customer downstream.
Any other concerns or questions? It was kind of a unique thing, this whole development. I guess you could say you go from sheer terror, panic, thinking you have no way home here, to having all kinds of help. And what a wonderful thing that is. And that's something that has to be recognized and acknowledged, is that the city of Blackwell, the team, just amazing. And same JD and David Mavis and other folks coming up here to help us. Truly appreciate it. I think what our task ahead is to winnow through all of the requirements and sift out those things that we have to take care of today and define today. And then we can start creating a pathway, a document, a structure going forward. And I might add, in addition to the mutual aid agreement and this interim agreement, which now becomes the month agreement. I think the date in here was defined as June, was it? Yeah, June 30th. Then that becomes a month-to-month thing until we get further down the stream, literally. Having said that, anything, JD, that you folks feel at Case Services that you have a concern about, or a specific task that you want to accomplish, please do. Example, we discovered we have a consent order, and didn't know a thing about the consent order, but if you don't know what a consent order is, it's kind of like getting a letter from the IRS. And Mr. Mercer, he's a very nice gentleman, but you don't want to mess around with Mr. Mercer. And if Mr. Mercer says flush your hydrants and your lines, and we've talked about this, then we have to do that. And it's a different flushing than what Chris and his crew would do for the fire department. They have a completely different target. They have different reasons for doing that. JD's crew, or our crew, or the Blackwell Power, Jim Lewis of Blackwell Power Group, the reason we would flush the lines is something totally different. And that is to help alleviate the toxins or the contaminants in the line that create TTHM issues for us. So, any further concerns? And I know there's concerns about water quality, and I'll be happy to talk about some things we're hopeful for. And I think you, JD, might have some information, but any concerns? Teresa?
So you said that will go month to month as of the 30th of June?
Right.
Will it go as in that, or the price is going to reflect the 20%?
Prices?
I mean, you know, you said it was $300, $25, $50.
This $300, this is a very interesting thing. If you could roll back the tape to 1990, just imagine a bunch of people sitting around a table saying, well, we need this kind of support. Geez, sure be nice to get some visits up here. What do you think? Oh, I don't know, $300 ought to do it. Okay, so they put $300 on the contract, and for that, we get 10 visits.
You actually get a lot more than that. We don't keep up with it. You see, I'm just saying that at June 30th, when it goes month to month, is it still $300 per day?
The interim agreement is nothing more than further clarity on what will be provided. It does not change. It does not change the scope of the original contract. It's just a little more clarity.
And Marv and I met this week and worked on it probably for about an hour on the electrical, specifically on the electrical issues. And you know what we realized is that according to, you're still being billed on the 1990 rates for your electricity. You are the lowest paying customers that we have. We've not increased your rates. They're still based on that. So, you know, and I'm not in a rush to get us through the contract or anything. I mean, you know, as I told Marv, it's in the city of Blackwell's best interest for you guys to do well and for you to, for us to help you every way that we can. And we're committed to do that. And the council members in Blackwell have not indicated to me that further, from this at this point. They understand where you are right now. As far as increases go in utility rates, I will tell you that annually there are what they call CIP increases. They're usually 2% to 3.5%, and that those get passed along to all of our customers. We get that passed along to us from our suppliers, and so you can look at anywhere from a 2% to a 3.5% increase in your utility rates, just sort of as a cost of living increase. And so those would be the increases, but they should never be surprises. Those typically get discussion in council meetings in June of every year. They're presented in the public for public hearing. Tomorrow, Thursday evening, we will have our public hearing for our budget, and the public are more than welcome to come. You'll get to ask me questions on where we're going to spend our money and what we anticipate, for our employees. Are our employees going to get a raise or not? And they're not. But we've had some costs associated with doing business as the city, and that gets reflected in our budget. But as I said, Barb and I met earlier last week and looked at all of these issues, and it is in our best interest to support the town of Raymond, and we're happy to do so. And I asked my staff, my department heads, how do you feel about going 9 miles down the road to help Raymond? And they said, well, we've always felt like they're just an extension of Blackwell. We've never felt like it was too far down the road, whether it was for electricity or water or sewer. And anytime that there's been a need, they've been more than willing to come over here and help out. So I'm just passing along, what they've told to me. So
I think they like free breakfast too. I mean, it's one of the deals. But what night is your meeting again?
Thursday, 6 o'clock.
I'm gonna try to get back to Oklahoma City. I wanna see how this is done. Outstanding, thank you. Just for the record, Janet mentioned that we pay a pretty low rate. I can tell you when I saw the numbers, I couldn't believe it. And so, can we continue that way? Probably not. I mean, these are 1990 numbers, so reality is going to set in here. But anyway, back to the original discussion here on the mutual aid agreement. I think it's to our benefit to favorably consider this, but I want to defer Ms. Johns for your it's just to help us through the interim here is all.
Well, I'd have to see some figures.
Nothing changes. I mean, there's no figures involved really.
I've already given Mark the documents for everything that we got from the other day, so he has that.
I'm just personally, and I've had a few other ones, they're disappointed in the water system of Blackwell's function.
That's Kay, though, that's not us, right? JD?
Doesn't it go from you to him?
Yeah, he's in between us, so aren't you?
Water that we're delivering out here, and we test it right in the town, and we're okay. I think what you're talking about is once it gets into
Problem
town
with the
here.
pipes and things.
And y'all were kind of looking at getting a grant to kind of do that, and that's good. I mean, you can continue in that endeavor to replace your pipes here in town. But a part of that is the flushing routines, keep that water as fresh as you can. We just took the TKH sample last, 1st of May. The first Wednesday of May, we come back okay. We take a bacteria sample, and that'll be tomorrow. Whether if you want to have Mr. Hughes come up and do it, or if you want Dave to come and do it, that's fine. We can do it. And, my offer was in this interim period, until you guys kind of get your feet on the ground, we take ours right up the road, we take it up to J-Tribs, and we come down here and take it, and we'll, you know, the bill comes to you guys from Accurate Labs. The setup is already done with K Electric and at K Electric, and so we offered that to help you guys with this interim. To have another document with this interim here with the city of Blackwell, and really, to me, it kind of sounds like just kind of an expansion of what's already in your contract from 1990. That's not going to hurt. The more you have ability, the more resources you have to draw from in case we do have, you guys have a breach in your sewer system or with the water. I think having two entities to help would be at the rate.
Yes.
Okay. That being considered, thank you, JD. I would move to make a motion that we accept and sign the mutual aid agreement for assistance with sewer and water utilities from the town of Blackwell, as well as accept the offer on the table from Case Services to participate and augment as deemed appropriate to ensure that the water quality in the community is at highest standards that we can achieve.
Want to say that again?
Mutual aid for water and sewer support as stated in the interim agreement
Okay.
with Blackwell, and also accept the offer from Case Services to augment and participate as needed to ensure the highest quality of water available for all patrons. That's my motion. I'd entertain a second.
Second.
Do you provide the documents that you get for us to see as well? The documents that they gave you, can we see it as well?
On the electric.
On the, yeah.
Calculations.
Yes.
Oh, calculation?
Oh, no, what she said, you guys talked about, you guys made documents, what, Darlene? Is
The
that what?
Oh,
calculation.
we
Oh.
talked, yeah, I'll give you the calculations for electric.
Yes.
Yes, I got them next door.
Next one, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. Roll call.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Sandman?
Yes. Vote unanimous. I will sign this at this time. You will, I'll get these from you tomorrow if you put your seal on there tomorrow before, and you can sign. I'll just come down, you know, for your notice. Okay. Thank you, JD. And I'll get that down to you tomorrow. Good shot. And we will not have an illegal meeting. I'll just drop this on her desk, and she'll put her stamp on it. No illegal meetings. Cookie?
Point of inquiry, we furnished store that was located at all the meters, water and gasoline, gas meters. No one's being skipped over or anything. We're pretty sure of that now.
Yes. Will you bring that up in a little bit?
Oh,
Under new business?
Okay.
And I absolutely will
I
address
thought
it.
it fitted in, I didn't know.
Yeah, it does fit in, but it's not on the agenda, so I don't want to get in trouble 2 months in a row.
Go ahead.
Thank you. How am I doing, Dale? Am I doing okay? All right. This is good news. Okay, so we've gotten through those items. Now, this is, and I'm going to defer to our attorney. For those of you who don't know, Steve Haynes is our municipal attorney. Steve is from Nichols Hills, I believe, in Oklahoma City area. And he brings 41 years of experience as a municipal judge and an attorney who's tried more than 500 cases in a courtroom. That's a lot. And he's got a wealth of knowledge. We're grateful to have him. And Steve, I'm going to defer to you a little bit on public utility trusts. We need, and this is a concern that Mrs. Johns has, and rightfully so, because it's kind of a gray area that happens to small towns. When we go on these contracts, like we just talked about here, this little deal right here, year to year to year, we renew this. In order to go multiple years, we have to establish a municipal trust utility, or a municipal utility trust authority. They are a separate entity. They stand alone, they have their own meetings, they have their own business. So, Steve, if you would.
Well, they're governed by different constitutional and statutory law
It's a dollar.
than the municipality itself is. And so there are a lot of advantages. They do stand as a separate entity, but they're an entity that's controlled by the municipality under the originating documents of the trust. Marv asked me to take a look at that this week, and so we're taking a look at what we think we might be able to do, and hopefully by next council meeting we'll be prepared to have something to present to you with recommendations at that time.
It will involve, at a minimum now, according to state statutes, at a minimum you have to have 3 individuals serve on the trust. And some small towns have the same people that serve on the council also serve on the trust. I guess that's fine. I like to see more eyes on it. I like to see more opinions. And I would offer for your thought as we go forward in this next month that we have 3 individuals who have volunteered their services to the trust, and they're just absolutely outstanding business people. They are really qualified for this work, and I'm going to take the liberty of mentioning their names. Former House Majority Leader Dale DeWitt has offered to serve. Rusty Partee has offered to serve. And John Kelly, local businessman, has offered to serve. I think there's some pretty good horsepower there. And I think we can trust them with their knowledge and their expertise and their judgment in helping us to form and fashion the utility trust. And this is what Darlene is concerned about, is how do we control costs and how do we know what we have going forward. Well, we certainly would know that with these individuals guiding us to a decision. And understand, the council does make the decision, but the trust gives the advice. Also,
the trust will actually operate as a separate decision maker. The beneficiary of the trust would be the municipality itself. But so that everybody understands that. My recommendation there is that as we approach this, we may want to set a separate public hearing for everyone to come in so that we can focus on the trust or trusts that we decide would be advantageous to the city, and then at that time be able to provide people who would like to serve with enough information that they're sure they want to serve. Right now it's a little bit speculative. So within the next month, hopefully we can be in a position to set it for a public hearing to make a determination at that time whether to move forward and then look at the people who may want to serve.
they actually make money. I mean, they actually are responsible and have accounts, if you will. I think there's some threshold stuff in there, $50,000 worth of revenue and $50,000 worth of assets and things of that nature.
Yeah, there are a lot of advantages. There are some disadvantages also, and I think that it would serve the community to dedicate a time to sit down and hash this issue out as a single item on an agenda. And then wait until we have something to actually talk about what the facts are. So that would be council's recommendation to you.
We will, with no objection, we'll mark this for continuation. Okay. Any further comment? Okay. Okay. This is one I've not been looking forward to, ever. Item D, item 4D, discussion, consideration, action regarding the possibility that the municipality may need to access funds secured in one of the 2 remaining certificates of deposit. Access to these funds may be required to pay overdue bills, claims, as well as pay for costs of essential repairs to electrical, freshwater, and wastewater infrastructure. I hate it. Guess I can't add any more to that. We have $118,000 and change in one CD. We have $9,780 and change in another. The small one is kind of sort of designated as for the swimming pool. I don't think we want to touch that one. The large CD, as I understand it, was created years and years and years and years ago by Ed Johnson. It's kind of like breaking open a time capsule. It's
Well, you don't have much to do. I mean, you don't have much to work with. And the audit that we're having done, I don't think you're gonna do it for free.
no, we've got some updates on it, but you're right, it's not free.
So I really don't think you have much of a choice. I'm with you, the smaller the swimming pool. I wouldn't even touch it, because there might be a chance someday.
Agreed. We have to make that chance. We have to create it. I think we need that seed money there. I agree with you.
And Mayor, we've taken a look at what getting our bills paid up to date, being current, and also financing the audit that we'll need to do, will actually do for the city. It is a money generating activity. And my experience has been is that you have a return on that investment far greater than your investment. This will open up sources of money that are sitting out in the state of Oklahoma right now that are available almost on request. I was talking to the city manager of Nichols Hills who was telling me about some road and railway improvement money. I think he said it's $50,000 that is almost, Janet, have you heard about this at all? Yeah, that there haven't been any applications for it. The money's sitting there, and it is almost available on request. But you've got to be able to present to the funding source the necessary financial documents to be able to obtain it, and you're not there right now. So if you get 2 or 3 of those, maybe in 1 year, you really got a great return on investment. And in addition, there are a lot of grant writers out right now that will be happy to help us write some good grants, get some money in. So again, I strongly encourage the city to it's hard to go in and that safety net that you feel like you have, from my review from the legal side and that part of the financial, I think you need your safety net right now. That's where you are. So, strongly encourage you to, as trustee says, we're there. I think you're right.
I think that's a good idea, because I think we ought to be considering revenue return for what we take even before we even take it. We gotta have some plans, and I know there's a lot of grants, a lot of money available, but it does take someone to seek it out and find it and prepare to get it. That's a great idea, thank you.
And from the federal side of it, there is disaster relief money that's, but for some politics that came into play during the break from Congress, would have been available and on the table to start drawing down. I'm not sure what the requirements are going to be, but infrastructure is part of the current administration's plan. It's a top priority, and you got to grab that money while it's available. So you got to put yourself in a position to do it. I foresee more of that money becoming available in the next few years.
What's your recommendation, Counselor? How much do we need?
I think that it's going to take you a month to, or maybe not quite a month. I would recommend first that you find out what your audit's going to cost you from the various sources that are available. I think you're working with some really good people right now, but I'm not sure that, well, you're going to have to make a decision
I have an update on that.
Where to go on that audit. So you may need to call a special session. I don't think you're in a position tonight to say, let's dedicate this amount of money to do that. You have the money, it's available, and I would pass this to the next meeting or special meeting to present a formal plan to the board on what money needs to be used to pay unpaid bills, and then what money needs to be used to
Fund the audit.
fund the audit.
I'm gonna go broke paying for the hired help you're having meetings.
I'm sorry, Jane.
With those two entities, because it's not just the audit, you've got Crawford that are doing the bookkeeping.
Right.
And then the auditor, those are two separate
Right.
parts of getting the audit. You've got the bookkeeping you have to get in order before you can have the audit.
And as I understand it, Crawford has some of the information.
Yeah, yes, they've got all of the information and financials from here, and that's what I think Mark's going to speak to.
And I have not heard what the city's looking.
Yeah, we've had some recent developments, and I'll talk to you about that.
Yeah. But I know you've been working on it,
Day and night.
it's going to take you a little time to get there. You may have to call a special
He's got his
meeting
ear
to address
glued.
it. Sorry.
He's got his ear glued.
I actually am. I wear a hearing aid that works off my phone, so I'm actually glued to it.
I think we should.
We're trying to push it back as far as we can. We currently have, I mean, the current big bills that I know of, we still owe $16,000 to Delta Industrial for some firefighting gear. We owe some money to Dice Roofing. We don't know exactly how much. It's something south of 5,200. And we get these surprises that show up, you know, and you don't plan for them, but like today we got a bill from QuickBooks, you know, $499.95 for another year. Well, you don't necessarily have that in the budget, so they just keep coming. So what is the end game here? As Counselor said, we have to get in a position, and it is absolutely critical to get in a position to be competitive for these grants.
And Mayor, it's really beyond competitive. You can't even suit up for the game.
Yeah, right now, we can't even get in the gym, so to speak. So, I mean, that's where we are. But here's the plan, and here's the update. And I'm probably gonna get bottle caps thrown at me or something. So I got a call from Marcy. And Marcy is a principal at Crawford Associates. Crawford Associates is a worldwide company. They're known everywhere for their work, quality work. To get our books in a place where we can even have them audited, right? Where an auditor will even accept them, would be $20,000. Well, you guys have figured out by now I'm Chief Charlie, right? Okay. And I'm gonna watch your money like a hawk. I cannot see 20 grand for that. I know what they deliver. I mean, Janet talks about their work is exquisite, and I believe it. So here's the plan. Out of the woodwork comes somebody who has done this before, who has straightened out books, who knows what to look for, who, I mean, I'd hate to have her on my trail, let's put it that way, because she finds stuff, and that's Sally Johnston. I'm telling you, she has been in here on a volunteer status for the last 5 or 6 days, and I cannot believe what she pulls out of these drawers, out of these files, and they make sense. I'll be sitting there working, she'll go, uh-oh, and it's like, just stop what you're doing, because she's found something else. She's putting this puzzle together, and she knows there's some missing. She can tell you exactly what's missing. I am pretty confident that Sally can do what Crawford would do. Maybe not, you know, but maybe. And we're talking volunteer. So my position on that is give her a shot. See what happens. And we've got a little bit of time. So if I told you what she discovered in the last 5 days, you wouldn't believe it. It's amazing. And for an example, she's got a cash flow report. And this is something that an auditor's going to want to see. And the numbers are not good. But it doesn't matter. She found them, and there they are. And that's the kind of stuff we're going to need. So I'm confident in Sally continuing to dig on our behalf. Now what happens next? Well, Kim Meyer at Blackwell, I called her last week, and I asked her specifically, what do you need to do a full audit, a full-blown, no-kidding audit on our 17 and 18 books? She provided us with all the stuff she needs. I gave that document to Sally today, and she's working on it. And she's already partway there. Kim will, before, she didn't want a thing to do with our audit. But now she'll take it on. And that can save us a lot of money. So it'd be nice to have had Crawford's do it for us, but we can't afford that. We just can't afford it. But Kim says she'll do 17-18 audit, and she'll do the 18-19 AUP. And we're going to be in good shape then, because then we'll have all our housekeeping documents done. What that will cost us, I don't know, but I put $11,000 in the budget for it. I know she charges $3,760 for an AUP. I do not know what she charges yet for a full audit. I'm saying maybe I saw a figure at one time, she charged $5,700, that was a year ago. I think this one will be more extensive. Now, here's the beauty about an audit in that regard. We can target specific things that we are interested in. If we are interested in general ledger, she will give that a good scrubbing. If we are interested in AP, she will look that over real close. She said, I can't do a forensic, but I can do a specific for you. That's a possibility.
And that may very well work out fine. I think I would approach that with some caution. Ultimately, this is not an upstream decision-making process. It's a downstream. You don't start with who's going to look at the books. You start with who's going to do the audit and find out what they have to have that will render you the audit that will be usable to be competitive, or to be a player in grants. And so you've got to find out ultimately, will the audit that you're requesting be done put you in a position that you need to be in, or that you have to be in. There's a lot of people out there that do audits that can give you a nice look at your books and your financial situation, but you won't pass the scrutiny of the people who are funding the grants. And so again, I don't know anything about this mayor, and we've talked briefly about Sally. I'm just saying, just be cautious that you don't get to the end of this and then find out you need to do another audit in order to be a player. So that's the key.
Well, what happened to the incident that the state had first of the year?
First of the year. I don't know about the first of the year. I don't know what that would be. Ooh. That's what we're finding now, is the records. That's what we're retrieving now. That's the process we're in now, is getting them out of the computer and out of the bank and et cetera. We're putting it all together little by little. It's getting there.
The way I understand it, you can locate the computer.
Well, we had to, Scott got us into the one computer, the QuickBooks computer, and there was a lot of data in there. And then we've gotten the rest of it from the bank, and then we're digging through files in the other room. Yeah. It's starting to make sense, actually. I mean, as far as dates and so on, it's starting to get there. As Counselor said, it's probably another month before we really understand where we're at. Any other questions? Dale?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, or maybe the attorney. A lot of these grants, I think you've got to have a forensic audit.
I don't want to go there right this minute. You may very well be correct. All I'm saying now is that the caution is, if it takes a forensic audit to get where you need to be, you work backwards from if that's what qualifies you for the grant money. Rather than say, well, we spend a little money down here and then we build up and we move that direction and then we find out we spent a lot of money, or we spend a lot of time, and the time is money, because some of these grants will go away, new ones will come in, but I know there's money available right now, so time is money here. But instead of moving in that direction, not knowing where you have to be at the end, you need to start at the end and work backwards and fill the work in that direction rather than the other direction. So Janet, you may be able to shed some light on this, but I'm very concerned that we take an approach that gets us to the end where we need to be.
In order to qualify for federal grants and for federal loans, you have to have an audit done. And any auditor to come in, they'll work with your normal average bookkeeper, yes. But let's just be honest here, we know that we're coming into a huge mess. I've been here from the beginning with Marv. I've looked at it. I've actually worked some with Crawford on it. You've got a huge mess on your hands. Now, do I think Sally can help? Absolutely, I think she can. I know that she helped out tremendously in Blackwell for years. She was even the city manager over there. I've heard her stories ever since I've been there. I think she can help get it to a place where you then hand it over to a bookkeeping, accounting firm such as Crawford, so that it's not going to cost $20,000 by the time it gets there. They're looking at it as it is right now, a huge mess. And they need somebody who's going to organize it and get it to a place that then they can formulate it so that when the auditor comes in and looks at it, they make rhyme or reason of it. When the auditor comes in and looks at it, if they see significant findings there that indicate there was wrongdoing, those will come to the forefront of it. And at that point, officials will be notified, and in will come a whole lot of magnification to what has happened. But it is a process that you have to step back from and see what mess you're in, and you have to handle that in a way that you understand it is the public's money. The government has criteria for how you're supposed to handle that money. Who was handling your money? What banks allowed things to happen? What were their criteria? Did they make sure that your town hall notes were given to them when they cashed out CDs? I mean, you're going to have a lot of questions that need to be answered. And yes, you can get your financials organized in such a way that a firm can come in and take a look at them and know what's going on with it. But any auditor that's worth their salt is going to say, this is not in a format that I can do anything with. You've got to do something more with this. And once it gets into that format, they're going to say, here's your issue and here's your issue. And before they ever start looking at it, they're going to say, tell me what I'm supposed to be looking for. And all of those things that you are concerned about will be asked. You'll have an opportunity to answer those questions, and then they will tell you what they will find. And those findings will be made public.
My concern is that, at least in the grant writing that I've been involved with in the past, the cities that I represent, the quality of the audit makes a really big difference on your grant. I just want to make sure that for the money we have available, that we don't put ourselves into a position that the person that's going to fund that grant says, I don't get this. I don't know who did this, but so my recommendation is take some time right now to really explore who is going to produce a product for you that's going to pay you back for that investment. And whether it's Crawford, whether it's somebody else, I'm sorry, I don't know enough about who's involved here and to jump off that cliff right this minute. So my recommendation is to take some time and make sure that the ultimate product that is going to get you where you need to be is of a quality that is going to be worth your investment. And I just don't know that. It may very well be what's being recommended, but I can't put my stamp on it simply because I don't know. It has nothing to do with the people involved, other than I do hear very good things about Sally, and I think she certainly is somebody who can get this up and started in a direction that it needs to go. But from that point, keep an open mind at this point on where you take that next step, realizing ultimately that final audit is the key. That's my 2 cents worth.
Sounds like we need some money, as in a fundraiser or contributions from the people that live here to help pay for this audit, so we can get the grant money. I mean, I would pitch in, I'm not rich, but I should put some bucks in a donation.
And community fundraisers are wonderful. Rather than fund your audit through a community fundraiser, I recommend picking programs for the community that you're spending your regular revenue on, and do a specific fundraiser, move on to the next fundraiser, rather than try to. I represent small towns. Most of my one of my towns beats your population by about 75 residents. So, land-wise, it's only 1/4 of a square mile. I understand the community spirit, and I think if you'll use those community fundraising projects for specific things, you'll be a lot more satisfied, and you'll save the city money that can then be used for the audit.
And I'm not sure you get a lot of people going, wow, I want to donate for an audit.
Exactly. I didn't want to say that, but that's exactly
The audit brings grants, so
But
it's
the fire
community, so the
department
audit.
needs new equipment,
You
new
never bring
radios,
it.
something like that, something that people can see laid out on a table or a brochure.
That will raise money for the fire department's equipment that they got. That would be good.
That may have to come out of a budget. If it doesn't have to come out of the budget, then
Well, it's
Then
more
it's-
the grant money.
I understand.
That's what I'm talking
So,
about.
Mayor, at this point, I think my recommendation to you
That's
is
those- take those steps.
to proceed along the lines that you have recommended, but jump to the end audit to make sure that whoever is going to conduct that end audit gets the city in a position to get the grant money that is going to be really serviceable to the city. And like I say, I just don't know enough about the people that are being suggested or involved to make that recommendation.
Without objection, I would move to take items 4D, E, F, mark them for continuation. I entertain a motion to that effect.
May I ask a question first?
Please.
If Sally gets everything in order, would Crawford's be cheaper than the 20?
I can't answer that, Donna. I don't know at this point in time. It may be. All I know is when Marcy spoke with me, she just said, big mess,
Right.
20,000.
She's looking at totes probably. Well, you get the totes put together, but you know what I mean, and once you get the totes all put together, there's not that many.
I'm just saying it
man
might be worth asking if we make sure everything's together.
Yep.
That's what I was gonna see, Crawford's not off the table yet, right? You can still consider it?
Nothing's off the table.
Okay, good.
Nothing's off the table.
Because you budget 11,000, right, for the audit? So
Well,
we're
I put
technically-
11,000 in a proposed budget for audit.
So technically we're like, if it is 20,000, we're only like 9,000 short.
Yeah, the problem with that is that when you encumber the people's money, you can't go past that.
Right, right.
And so,
Well, the other thing too, they're paying Crawford to do bookkeeping, their need to go straight up, that's not even.
Not the audit,
Not the
okay.
audit.
Right.
They have 11,000 for audit, not even bookkeeping.
I have a number for the audit, 70,000. Right, 70 grand. Megan?
I was just gonna ask if the
That was
20,000
surprising to me,
included the.
but, you know, I get surprised every day. Sometimes just waking up in the morning surprises me.
Most days. I mean, that was a comment. Forensic audit.
I would, and whether you call it a forensic audit or a qualified audit or, you know, let's look at who we're going to use for that end product that gets us where we want to go. And I don't think we're there. I know the mayor has spent a lot of good energy running this stuff down. Based on where I was, what was it, 2 months ago, we've come a long way. I think we can, I think in another 30 days, we can have some really solid numbers, taking what we know we have as resources now with Sally and going to where our final audit is going to be and finding out what's going to be necessary there, and then be able to come back to the citizens and say, hey, this is what it's going to cost. How are we going to get there?
Awesome. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So there's a motion, there's a movement for a motion to continue items 4, D, E, and F. We have a motion. I will second that. Roll call, please.
Ms. Jones? Yes. Mr. Sanders?
Yes. Okay, items D, E, and F will go to further research, and we'll hear on the next minutes, end of the month. However, I think we'll probably be going into August, to our August meeting, because we don't have a meeting in July. So, anyway. Item 4G. Interesting discussion here, but discussion, consideration, action regarding the lease and use of the former FFA exhibition building, the Morton building, by Newkirk School District. A little background on that. I became curious about this huge building we have in town that has a bus in it. And that is all. And so I'm wondering about this building. what can it be used for? Who does it belong to? What, is it a resource that we can explore? And through a lot of hard work by a lot of people, we've discovered that that building does indeed belong to the town of Bremen. It does, and we've got the document here that proves it. I want to read it to you. It is a lease agreement. The lease agreement was one that was fashioned in 2003 between the town of Bremen and Bremen School at that time. But it would roll forward in its current form, and I'll pass this on to Counselor for his review. But pay attention to item 10. It says, all buildings and improvements placed upon the property and premises shall upon erection and construction thereof become the sole and exclusive property of the lessor, in other words, town of Bremen, subject, however, to the terms and conditions herein set forth. The conditions herein set forth talk about the use of the building. You can't put animals in the building, you know, or house animals. It was for the show kids, you know, that brought their animals through there. Item number 11, in the event that the lessee ceases its function, all of the property and improvements upon the subject real estate shall return to the control of the town of Bremen. So, this in fact, and upon review by Counselor, this places that property in our possession. So, it has been leased for $1 a year, I understand.
That's the land.
The land. The building was never leased. The building belongs to the town. So, we just need to find out from Newkirk School when that lease is up. And I want to offer for your consideration that we take that building back as a community and we make a commercial enterprise, something developing money for this community. It's a resource. It is almost 60 feet wide by about 120 feet long.
When you retire.
It is in
Because it was
very
never
good
paid
condition.
after
The
that.
south door needs probably replacement. I understand the school did replace the north door last year or year before to the tune of about $7,000.
No, they quickly claimed.
We may end up having to participate in some kind of repayment of that improvement because they were operating under the assumption they owned the building, which they do not. So, here we have a building almost 7,200 square feet. It sits on 1.3 acres of land, I believe is the correct number of acres. 1.3 acres. Now, so what do we do with the building of this nature for our communities?
Right.
I do know of a business person that is very interested in bringing their business to Bremen. And no, they do not grow marijuana. Nor do they sell it. Nor do they house it, store it. It's got nothing to do with happy dope. Okay? But what it has to do with is a very established, reputable business who could bring a environmentally friendly, very low impact business to our community. I don't know that I'm at liberty to talk about who that is, but I can tell you it would be a plus. I assure you.
Is it like a manufacturer or?
No, it's even better. There's no manufacturing involved. The environmental footprint would be minimal. A little bit of noise maybe, once in a while. Thank you, LaDonna. And Trudy. You teamed up. Now, Counselor will tell you, we have to follow some legal hoops in order to do this properly. However, because it is city property, we have the ability to manage that property as we deem fit. So, what say you? Your comments, please. This is part of this process. Ms. Johns, do you have any commentary?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
How much is it gonna cost us to get the building ready?
Nothing.
I'm for it.
I can tell you that the individual who's considering the property understands there will be some things that may need to be done, they understand that. They're interested in lease to own, or outright purchase. I mean, to me, it's something I thought about years ago, and I often wondered. It has to do with ODOT, okay? It has to do with Sally Ports. It has to do with the service. Actually, the gentleman was going to be here tonight, so I think I could speak on his behalf. Many of you know Charlie Strickland. It's Strickland's Road Service, right? He's expanding his operations into Oklahoma. And what does that mean for Bremen if we can get Charlie's business? Well, every time he hooks up to a disabled vehicle, what happens? The money machine starts running. Every time he stores a vehicle that's been impounded, what happens? There's fees involved. Every time somebody has a car or vehicle impounded by the Oklahoma Highway Patrol and it needs to be locked up, where could it be locked up? Inside the Morton building, including semis, because it's big enough to put a semi in there. So what's the environmental footprint? The environmental footprint is, you might hear some diesel trucks once in a while. He's not going to be using a lot of water. Donna?
I'm not being a Debbie Downer here. Charlie already owns a Morton building on the north end of town and he doesn't use it.
Okay. You have to take in the entirety of this thing. It's not a big enough building for what he needs to do. There are specific square foot requirements to meet ODOT, Oklahoma Department of Transportation, Oklahoma Highway Patrol specifics. What this would mean for, and actually, that building there is woefully short of what he needs. And so this building is almost ready-made. Ready-made. What it means is tax money from sales of goods and services. It means lease money. They insure it themselves. So it's pretty much upside. It's a business for the community. And I'm going to tell you what, it sure beats a buck a year. Sure beats a buck a year.
I'm fine with that as long as they don't turn it in and make it look like a salvage yard. A bunch of wrecked cars.
I think Charlie understands that. I think he understands.
His place up in South Haven looks bad.
Yeah, that's his house and his business.
You can't see his house.
Yeah, you can. Well, no, I got you. He has cleaned up some around his house.
Is there another place for the bus to be stored?
The grain elevator co-op would love their business.
Why only because we have a lot of kids who are still bused over there.
Understood.
And they're gonna wanna have a place where they can plug that bus in.
Already talked to Gage or the co-op, and I said, what do you think your manager would be interested in something like that? He said, absolutely, we've got the space. Dale?
They have a building over there, the ag building, that they kept ownership on, and buses will fit in that building.
That's what I was curious about, that the bus.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
But it's stored full of crap, or I shouldn't say crap, but their stuff.
They can move it over to the side if they want to put a bus in there, but we've had buses in there many times.
Yeah.
That's on the corner, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess.
They kept that. They
Yeah.
kept that corner.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I say, they could put a bus in there if they,
I guess my mention of this possibility is just for you to start thinking about this being an income generator for our community. This can become a commerce center. And let's face it, we don't have a lot of businesses kicking down the doors to get anywhere.
and Mayor, regardless of whether Strickland comes in or not, the city needs to take that building. I know for years, there's a business right here in town that's wanted to lease that.
I see.
And so, there are opportunities for some income right here in our own community.
Wonderful. All for it. So, any further comment? us.
This is one of these leases that tries to get around the one-year prohibition of entering into contracts that extend beyond a year, when maybe it's not even necessary. But this is renewed annually, October 13th, starting in 2003, and requires that the lessee, the Raymond School District, or Raymond School, provide notice 30 days, which I guess would be September 13th each year, in order to renew the lease for another year. I'm assuming that we haven't received any notice of renewal that I'm aware of. Have you had a conversation with the school board about this?
I spoke with Mr. Barnes, who's the superintendent.
And
That essentially is not a valid contract. That right there is just an example of what they have. I have not been able to find a current lease as such.
There may not, I mean, this is the lease.
I was gonna say, that's it, I bet.
My guess is that
It's Newkirk School District.
Newkirk.
Yeah, Mr. Haynes, Bradenton School District was consolidated with Newkirk about a decade ago, so.
That's just a type of framework.
So this, is this, what they're claiming is actually the lease for the building?
I cannot speak directly to that because I've not seen the lease. Mr. DeWitt.
Marv, the school never did have any interest in this property or the building. That was built in 1978. 17 farm club members, young farmers, my young farmer group, they signed a note. And at the time, Larkey was the banker. $17,000 is what it cost to construct that building. The city gave us the land for $1 a year lease. That barn was put up by the farm club, the school. The only thing they had in connection to that building was that we allowed them to park buses in the north end if they paid the insurance. And that is the only connection the school ever had to that building. They had no ownership or interest in it at any point. Upon closing of the school, it goes back to the city.
Mayor, we just need to take a look at the county records and see what the record shows. That will control what,
Yeah, there's no reference to the building that I can see. The only record is the land.
And generally, an improvement upon land becomes fixed to the land and becomes part of the real property. So, and I did not see a provision in here that allows them to remove the building at the conclusion of the lease, if this is in fact the way it is. So, I may be getting ahead of myself, but I would suggest to you that the building and all improvements belong to the city.
And when the school closed and they took possession of everything, with the exceptions of that, my understanding at the city meeting was it was a verbal, now there may be some writing somewhere, but there was a verbal contract with the town board to allow the city of Newkirk to park a bus there. To my knowledge, there was nothing in writing. I don't, Ms. Johns could probably.
Unless there's notes or minutes from that meeting.
They couldn't find anything.
They couldn't find any.
Well, I think what we would do
I
is
remember
start with
him
what's
asking that, but I don't think it was at the town board, I think it was at the school board. That meeting where Brady asked if they could use that to park one bus.
Is that in the city limits?
No.
That's city limits.
It might have been
All right,
annexed. I didn't know.
yes, Mary?
May I ask a question? Is
Depends.
that barn even in the city limits?
Of course not.
Are you sure?
I am sure.
Okay. That house that used to be there.
The Tanner House, that was there, Carl
Yeah.
Tanner owned it, yeah.
Yeah, and then that co-op. That's,
Well, it got annexed not that many years ago.
okay.
But when it was put up, no, it was not.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
We'll have a report for you
Yeah,
by
when
next
it's up,
meeting.
and Jerry made sure that was annexed to win that new grant.
Without objection, I'd move to entertain a motion to continue item 4G.
And I moved to continue.
And I will second that motion. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Jones? Yes. Mr. Tindall?
Yes. Okay, item 4G continues. We're not having much luck killing any of these. Okay. Discussion, consideration, action regarding installation of an 8-camera DVR security system for the municipal complex and fire department. I'm offering that as a donation to the town. Got it cheap on Craigslist, brand new. And so we need to, if approved for installation, then we just need to discuss authorization for installation costs, and our IT person, Scott Jennings, has agreed to install the system. We'll check it out and make sure everything works. Darlene?
I think it's great.
Any commentary, questions, concerns? What we'll do is we'll position the cameras in a way where the entire building is covered, interior and exterior. You'll see one up in this corner, you'll see one in the far corner of the office, you'll see 2 in the bays for the fire department, and there'll be 4 outside that'll cover each area. So you're gonna have full coverage. We've got a 24-inch monitor, so we can do split screen. It'll record 2,500 hours. So anybody that wants to cause damage or illegal entry into this facility, I'll guarantee you, they will be on camera. So without further discussion, I'd move to entertain a motion to.
I move it installed.
Okay, we have a motion. I will second that motion. Any further commentary? Mr. Jennings, you willing to help us with that?
Absolutely. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
you probably need 2 motions here. You need one motion to accept the
Right.
donation from the, from you.
Okay. And then on the installation costs. Yes.
Yeah, and then you would need a separate
Okay,
motion.
we can do
to
that.
expend funds for the installation.
So I believe Darlene's motion would be then for the install, or for the acceptance of the donation?
Yes.
Okay. And I will second that. Roll call vote.
Ms. Jones? Yes. Mr. Sandler?
Yes. Then separate matter, I would move to entertain a motion. But before I do that, Mr. Jennings, approximate cost per install? Put you on the spot, buddy. We got $100, that's a limit.
Installment plans too.
And a steak dinner?
$100 a steak dinner.
I don't know, that donation, can you donate that? So I would move to entertain a motion. We allocate $100 for installation of said camera system. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Roll call vote.
Ms. Jones? Mr. Tindall?
Yes. Hi, golly, we got one done. Okay. Just some quick updates. Item 4I, discussion, consideration, or action regarding progress of various municipal projects. Just wanted to bring you up to date on some stuff that we have done. We've gotten the storm sirens are up and going. We've got one thing left to do, and that's to get the control box from Andy Goddard at Goddard Enterprises. Andy is building an electronic box that will control Old Faithful out here the same way that the north siren is controlled. So somebody keys the mic to blow the sirens, both of them will go. You don't have to have somebody in here holding the red button. And that was gonna be me. And I don't like big wind. And so you know how that was gonna go. Intermittent at best. I don't like the big wind. So, but anyway, we got that going. Utility pole replacement. Utility. Notice, Rusty, I didn't say telephone pole replacement. Boy, have we got a mess going. We've got lots of rotten utility poles. So we got 3 of them that are gonna be replaced here, starting tomorrow. Now, everybody knows about power outage, planned power outage tomorrow from 10 to 4. Weather permitting, they won't work in a downpour, but we've gotta replace the pole at the park because it's got 2 transformers on it. If that pole goes down, it will take 75% of the transformers in this town with it. That's the dual
You're the one that
voltage
found it, so
thing there.
that's from no electric.
And so the fellas are coming up tomorrow to replace it. Then we're gonna go over on Eaton and 4th and replace 2 poles over there. One in the alley, rotted off right at the base. We've got it guyed and stabilized. And then we're gonna move a pole over by Megan's mom's. We're gonna put that pole, take it out of the tree line and put it out where it's more open so you have a better use of the yard light there. But that's just 3, and there are lots more. But, yes, sir?
I was gonna say, the casino up the hill is offering free hot dogs and bag of chips and $5 free plate to bring it in.
Yeah, take proof of residence with you.
Yeah.
And kids are allowed in the bistro. They can't go out on the gaming floor. But if you got kids with you, they can come in and sit down at the restaurant up there.
Well, it's a very nice accommodation, thank you. We had to replace the transformer over in Neva's alleyway. What happened with some of the old bare wire over there? Contacted, took out the transformer. I can't wait to get the bill on that one. But it just happened. What do you do? You know, we got some emergency tree trimming done. Took down a nasty elm tree that would have defeated our upgrades. And repair of the Emergency Operations Center computer. Scott put a new hard drive in the computer back there, and now it works great. And we can do the split screen thing and the whole deal, I guess, so we're up and going there. We have to get the cleaning of the ditches and drainages done. Tree trimming, wanted to talk about that a little bit, but we're running late here. We need to authorize some money for tree trimming and cleaning of the municipal park. Lots of upgrades there. Trudy and I have been talking about painting and making the bathrooms there nicer. And then we may have some training costs coming up and certifications for our utility department folks learning how to take water samples and do stuff like that. So that's just a general discussion there. There's no motion required, just upgrades.
On that painting down there at the city park?
Yeah.
You might try to get them older youth group kids down there to help do that. From the church? Bree and my 3 and Sam, see if they'll go down there and paint that for you.
Awesome.
No idea.
Find some paint. Moving on to item J, discussion action or consideration action regarding permanent part-time municipal clerk position, and we have 5 applications. We have them in hand. I will give them to you here shortly and for your review. Now, what we have to do is we can do this 2 ways here. When we get down a little lower, we've got the opportunity to go into executive session. May not be required. We'll determine that here shortly. But we do have 5 applicants. There are no awarding of contracts this evening, nor any time in the foreseeable future. We have no resolutions at this time. We will have on the 25th of June when we meet about our budget. We have no ordinances to report this evening. Reports from officers and board members. Start item 8A, Fire Department. Chief Jeff, anything for the Fire Department?
That's Jeff.
Chris. Chief Chris.
It's been crazy and weather, But Friday, we're gonna go help a family that's in need to getting home. He can't be released until his roof's fixed, so for some of us from the fire department, we're gonna donate water for the personnel that are showing up and getting back home, so.
Chris, I don't remember who it was, but I was in Blackwell this weekend, and you were talking about very highly as far as how often you've gone out and just how quick you respond to it. Which I thought was really cool.
So that's all I got. It's been busy.
Outstanding work during the weather events, actually outstanding work. You guys, you out there. Well done. Now, update from our emergency management team, Sean and Donna.
We have an awesome new fortress over there that we share with the fire department. We're glad to have our computer up. Got our siren fixed, waiting on the box. Like you said, we've been crazy busy with the weather. And up here, I don't know how many nights, sitting in that office running the computer, sitting out here running on my phone, and just whatever we could do to make sure we were watching the weather. We had a lot of help from Blackwell. They always keep an eye out for us. We also have some from Kate County Emergency Management. They know that we're small and we need some help, so they always have somebody available to help watch. So between all of us, that's what we kept it going.
I think Mike Morgan could take some lessons from Donna and Sean when they were reading the radar. There was a couple of times during these storm events where it was looking really nasty here. I mean, rotation, the stuff she was picking up on the radar was really spooky looking, and then she'd say, nope, we're gonna be okay. And I'm like, yeah, look at, here's an inflow of cool air coming on the backside, it's gonna kill it. She did it twice, 2 different storms, she called it twice. So Mr. Morgan, Emily Sutton, look out. We got you.
I got something to add. I hope you didn't pay that guy anything to fix our radio, or my radio. His still don't work. He didn't do anything to it.
Hasn't been paid yet.
Okay.
I'll send you down there with his invoice and you can tell him you fixed it. Oh yeah, you're not putting it on me.
Oh, you want to
That isn't how it works. Public safety, Jeff, anything? Nothing to report. What are we?
Title 18.
Still working on it? Okay. Very good. Thank you, sir. Trudy, got any reports for Utility World? Tell us all about the meter reading.
Oh, Lord, people. It was like, where's it at? I don't know. Lord, it took us about a week to find one. Then we finally got the guy to answer the door so we could find him. He was backing up underneath the tree up by the fence. Lord. Didn't you have to clean mud off of them to find them? Oh, well, yeah. Yeah, I had one that I had to dig that deep just to get to the top of it.
Wow, that had been on there for a whole month?
And this was the co-op. Yeah, it's let's see, and I'm finding more meters, by the way, water meters. I've been doing some mowing and some weed eating, and I found some more that I didn't know was there. So, anyway, we got it. I think we're set to go for this next month. We'll get it done a lot faster.
Yeah, bear with us. You know, we had a lot of calls, people saying, where's our utility bill? I understand. But there were 2 floods, okay? That was part of it. And then, as Trudy said, we're walking around trying to find these things. And it was pretty interesting. I think we have a better appreciation of the town of Raymond. We've seen all of it now. Places we didn't even know existed. And she was talking about Dan Lighty. Dan had to come out in his walker. He had just had knee surgery. I said, Dan, where's your water meter? Oh, God, follow me. We walked back in the trees. There is absolutely no way we would have ever found that. And he even said, he says, right there. And I'm, where? He said, right there. Well, it was covered. I mean, with vines and trees and stuff, and mud and snakes. And, it's been a lot of fun.
Yes.
We have had a lot of laughs, so it went good. So, Mr. Johns, good, sir.
One of my other small town, interesting, just went through that same process, and a group got together and put together a notebook of where to locate each residence meter on a subdivision map.
Yes.
And it's been valuable. There's such a turnover in that department. It's been very valuable.
We are in the process of developing, once it dries up sufficiently, where Trudy and I talked about painting the water covers fluorescent orange. or fluorescent yellow, something really bright.
Orange works. Beautiful. It's not crimson.
Yeah. You like that segue, huh? So, and then numbering them, corresponding numbers, because we have 5 routes. So when you start at the beginning of route number 1, you have meter 1-1. And you know, if you keep going, put a little arrow on it or something, 1-2, and so on.
Well, the lids turn, I mean, you can put them on different directions, so you could be going in circles. Hey, I gotta
Do you have
follow.
somewhere to be? Or?
I gotta follow a route. I know what them arrows are like.
Well, then
Don't do it. Don't do it.
You are going to help us set up our route.
I can do that.
The best part is these animals that come
Oh,
looking in
yes,
the
big
face, or one,
big puppy.
you bend over and you're up next to the fence and you got one trying to eat you. Yours.
Oh, Rocky won't hurt you. Just give him a biscuit.
But the next doors
Yeah, we got
came
dog-
down and she'd stand out on the outside with her pups and they were, oh, it was bad.
Well, something needs to be done with them. Yeah, Rocky, if you just feed him, he's good as gold. He'll be your best friend.
He hadn't eaten nobody in a
You
long
can
time,
take
had
this-
he?
No, he hasn't. He's sick. He had to go to the doggy hospital
That was cheap.
because he ate something.
He always eats something, didn't he?
Yeah.
No, not her. Not her. That one right
Okay.
there. City lady was good.
Darlene, do you have anything in general you wish to comment about before we go to the next item? Is there
I
any
talked to
reports or
Cindy
updates?
and
Okay.
of course she's had her baby.
I have nothing.
I said,
Now,
everything
we
gets
get to
settled down.
item number
and you
9,
get into routine.
possible
life.
going to
We
executive
need to
session.
get
In the interest
what
of
it
time,
takes
and because we need to set
to
up
police, because that's who
interview
our
dates
boss
and
is,
times anyway.
to sit
We
down.
are going to,
And then
for
so
purposes
we
of this
get all
evening,
that coordinated.
we are not
When
going to
you get a
enter
new
into
contract.
executive
Last
session. This is a
week,
proposed
they
entry. We're
got
not
me
going
for
to enter
72 when they
because we
signed
can
the
conduct
contract
this
with us.
business without
The Cindy's more than willing.
doing
She
that
wants
at
to.
this time. But item C, I would like to bring item C and separate that as a separate item, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding advertising for and possible hiring of a general maintenance person on an as-needed, where-needed basis. And we certainly don't have to act on this tonight, but the discussion would be moving toward what we are trying to do here to save money, to hire what we need when we need it. There are individuals who have specific skill sets that we don't need 8 hours a day. We need them for a specific event or a specific task that we might have. For an example, somebody that would be a wire feed welder. They can do things with a welder that we need for a specific task. Maybe it's 3 or 4 hours of work. These people would do those tasks under this concept on a as-available basis. In other words, if we had a project at the park that needed some welding, that person could come and weld that particular repair. It's kind of a different concept, but I don't believe we can afford full-time, high-tech people. So any comment or consideration or concerns about that?
They had to be licensed and everything is necessary.
Not, yes and no. They have to be, if they are an employee of the town, they are covered under our insurance.
Okay.
Are we looking at an R-stamp type person, a pipe fitter? No. We're looking at general welding, general maintenance, crawling up on ladders, things of that nature. That person would be an employee of the town as needed when working. What do you feel about that? Mrs. Darlene?
I'm for it if we could, if, like I said, if they're qualified. I don't want to get somebody off of that high tree.
Another employee up a tree and we can't get them down.
Yeah.
Well, you just call the fire chief.
I'm like you, I'm so proud to be 40-foot high. Maintenance man or clerk.
Council, would I be out of order in calling for a motion to advertise?
Yeah, let me read it again once you know.
Because we have extracted these items from the proposed executive session, so it's a standalone item.
You can call for a motion.
Okay. I would move for a motion then to authorize advertising for a general maintenance person as needed, when needed basis. Okay, we have a motion. I will second that motion. Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Stanley?
Yes. Motion is carried.
Can I ask a question?
A question?
Will that be just one person, or will you put it out,
We'll put it out and see what
what you get?
yeah. We're like, what do we got here, 500 hours per fiscal year, so see what happens. We might have two people interested in that possibility. Okay, item number 10, and this has to do with appointments, and we just make it official because of the requirements of doing that. Official recommendation for appointment for the following individuals to be named or appointed for volunteer positions, a 3-year term effective 1 July 2019. And these folks have been or are willing to do these items as indicated. Scott Jennings, our Information Technology Director. There's Scott over in the side there running the camera. Cody Campbell, we are Museum Curator for the town of Raymond, and Cody and his family have already started demolition work over at the museum, getting ready for upgrades. Roger Wenman isn't here tonight, but Roger has indicated his willingness to serve as our comptroller and internal auditor. This position is one just within the town here, and what Roger would do is just keep an eye on our budget on a quarterly basis to make sure that we're on track, that we're not getting off the track away from our plan. And then Trudy, in line with the work she does every day for us, park facilities and planning coordinator for the town of Raymond, and that has to do with her making specific recommendations to the council on things that could improve our recreational facilities here in the community. Any comments or questions? Concerns? I would move for a motion then to accept these recommendations for appointment as stated. Okay, there's a motion by Mrs. Johns to accept these items as recommended. I will second that. Roll call vote.
Ms. Jones?
Yes. Now we're down to new business, and Cookie, you had a question.
Oh, you more than answered anything I could ask.
Right.
Just about the meter, that's it.
Glad. A couple of things that were brought up to me and just food for thought. We have a citywide garage sale that's coming up here. Yes. Okay. July 4th, usually. Who wants to head up that committee? Gee, look at all
I'm gonna raise my hand, but I'm not volunteering for that.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
I just have a question. Can we not move that from the 4th, because nobody's around on the 4th?
Absolutely. You
I
can move-
definitely
It's your
won't
job.
be going to the lake on the floor.
Your community.
I bet
You guys
there's
decide what you
there's
like.
gonna be a lot of people out of town.
Yeah, no, if they can make it to call, they'll go.
I talked to Ruth about this. She actually brought it up, and we were looking at the July calendar, and I want to say it was the 12th or something out in there. She said, you know, if we moved it back to a weekend or two back and put it together, it was that weekend, it's subsequent weekend. And all I said was, we have to be careful, we don't schedule against somebody else's big event. You know, that
Black Wolf is last week.
Black Wolf was last.
Well, Betty, she's headed up quite often. I'd be willing to do it again.
Betty Evans has been volunteering.
Never call us for advertising. I can do it.
How much?
Well, it depends, I don't know what our garage sale rates usually are, but if we have enough people who want to do it, we can do it under full pace. If that's if we get enough people.
Okay. Looks to me like we gotta get our chairperson organized here, and then we'll get, I'm gonna tell you what, there will be a sale over at 614 E. I'm gonna open the door, and you're just gonna get what you want. Make me an offer, and you can have it. Yes, I will not haul it for you. Okay. I don't want a meeting, but this has been a lot of fun. Wayne, you have anything tonight? Any recommendations, advice, wisdom? Haven't seen you in a long time.
I just came to find out what's going on.
Well,
I'm thinking about doing some restoration of the building over there.
Sweet, that's a beautiful
And,
building. Beautiful building.
We're working on a contract right now, and hopefully we'll turn it into maybe our in-town home.
Nice. Yeah, it's a very, very nice building.
Needs a lot of work though.
There's a lot of those in there.
Yep, there are.
Teresa?
Is there a dog ordinance there?
Okay, dog ordinance. Is it? Yes. As a matter of fact, there is. It's a municipal ordinance about critters. You can't run at large. You can't have more than 3, otherwise you have a kennel. Okay? You, here's the thing. I love animals. Love them. I like to scratch them and pet them, all of that stuff. This is my personal view. My personal view. You own an animal. You are responsible for that animal. That animal bites somebody. That animal hurts somebody. You are individually responsible. Understand the town of Bremen does have an animal ordinance running at large.
Can I speak on that, Marv?
Of course you can, you're a citizen here.
I spoke with Cindy Yinger, which is a Blackwell Animal Control, a while back, and she was fixing to have her baby and everything, and I said, well, if things get calmed down, I said, we need to get together, and she said, yeah, she said, we have a contract with you guys. From 1970 something. And I said, well, when things get calmed down, I said, we need to get together and get an updated one. And she is more than willing to help. And it requires you, I don't know about the board members, maybe so, but the chief of police and her to sit down and go over things and come up with an updated contract. And she'll be more than willing to help us.
Happy to do that. happy to do that. Thing about our community right now is our code books are not up to date, okay? They're year 2000. It's a very expensive process. It's about $10,000 to update the books. Counselor probably has some sources for us who can help us, but still, it's gonna be an expensive proposition. And without having the code book up to date, I think the maximum is a $50 fine. Is that correct, Counselor? I think it's, for violation of the code.
I think it's 100 now, but but you also don't have a court in which
No.
to enforce that. So
It's a moot point.
it doesn't.
So this, well, as long as we're here all night anyway. So let's talk about this. This is a good discussion. It's a good discussion point for this evening. We have a lot of folks here. Let's bring it up. What do you want to do about code enforcement in the community? How do you all feel about it? I know that when the campaign was going on, the story was, look out for Marv, he's going to enforce every code in the book. Nah, not true. That's your job.
I thought we sent those books over to NODA a while back to have those brought up to date.
I remember those. But I know that we really only have 2 people in town that is letting their dogs. And this one has 2, and the other one, I don't know where he's from.
That's not true though. There's more than 2.
Yeah, there's more than 2.
That's just
So-
not true.
Don't-
2 on my
One of
block.
our guests got
There's
bit
5
by
on
a
our
lady down the
block.
street.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about it.
But that's not
Okay,
true.
so we have folks that love animals, we know that. We have folks that are animal owners, we know that. We have folks that are not. We have folks that don't like animals. And we all live in the same town. So how do we come up with a plan?
I think you said it a while ago, if you got an animal, you're responsible for it.
Animals are gonna get out,
Period.
it happens. You know, sometimes they are gonna get out, but to intentionally just let them out the front door to run is not something that they should do. I've got the biggest escape dog in the world. I mean, if he sees an opening, he's out, but we're also chasing him around trying to catch him. We don't just let him go till,
Yeah, these dogs are at
You know.
least 24/7.
and it's not the dog's fault. I mean, I love animals. It's not the dog's fault. The owner's the one that should be locked up in a doghouse.
Okay, what would happen, I'm asking you. What would happen if we had a certain Trudy, she reads meters, she's around dogs. What if she finds some dogs and she knows who they are, who they belong to? Can she go and charge the guy, give him tickets?
But the problem that you don't have an animal control officer, you don't have a police department, and you don't have a court in which to enforce your ordinances.
Right.
So you would have to call the county sheriff.
Get that.
You have to call-
Yeah, okay.
You have to call the
Yeah.
county sheriff, and they would prosecute under state law, which is very similar to the ordinances that you have. These ordinances that you have regarding animals are very similar to state law. So,
They can enforce dangerous animals, the sheriff can do that. That happened several years ago. Some people had some pit bulls that kept getting out, and there was complaints, and the sheriff came over and visited with people, and it got close, put it that way. And Carl Tanner was bit one time by a dog.
He took him out on dirt
All
road
he
and
did
dumped
though
all
was put
of
him
them.
inside his house and kept him in his house and then took him out to the country and let him loose.
Yep, sure did.
So, okay.
Another real carrier
So,
fed
so
him.
what, Megan?
I said, them
Can,
pit bulls, I said, they farmers.
I know
they
that
go
that
out
contract's
there
old
around.
with Blackwell, but can we not get it to where
Jeffrey Jackson.
maybe we can use that availability of services for
Yeah,
you?
out there
Like
by
finding
Helen
animal
Henderson's.
roaming or something like that?
Mom and all that.
I think,
Because I always get told, oh no, there's nothing we can do because you're in Bremen.
no, I think Cindy, you know, I have seen her, actually,
said, "You wasted
you
your
know, take
money
a
on
dog
dog
or an
food."
animal.
Oh,
or
she's
something.
I said,
Yeah.
don't be going
The
tomorrow.
current process is if you can catch the animal and hold it till Blackwell can come and get it, they'll come and get it.
Oh, yeah.
And we have the officer right here in Bremen that lives here, so you could take it
Well-
over to her house.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh,
Never set up a drop off.
Here's,
The drop-off house.
so it gets back to this thing. If you are an animal owner and your animal is running at large and something happens, you, the animal owner, are responsible. It is not the policy, I don't believe, of this community to allow animals to run at large, because then we would be violating the very code that we must live by. So the official position is control your animals. And if there is one that is at large and it is dangerous, I'll guarantee you, if I see it, I'm calling Blackwell. I'm not going to approach a dangerous animal. I was born at night, but not last night. I mean, I'm not. I mean, it's like dog, all right? Dog goes outside the front door and lays down by the door. Is that a dangerous animal? No. Is he gonna hurt anybody? I can't imagine it.
You can catch him real easy.
He can't, he's like me, can't run real fast.
And then he'll lick you to death. Actually,
Lick you to
ordinance
death.
is state law.
He'll lick you to death.
What is a vicious animal. So,
Right,
Can I have one?
go ahead. Either or, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, now if we started like requiring registration for the
Yep.
animals?
Yep.
Every town I've lived in, even it's small, little communities like this, I've always registered my dogs.
They're supposed to be,
Now, I was gonna say, because wouldn't that help generate a little bit of
Yes,
funding
it
towards
would.
the town as well?
Yes, it would, and I just want to say that we have dog tags, we still have dog tags. And we used to have a shot clinic, I believe the veterinarian
yeah.
That's also something I've
Okay.
brought up that we'd like.
came to Bremen, so if that's something that you all want to have again, then remember, we run into this, we're gonna run into owners that go, I'm not registering my dog, I'm not taking my dog to the clinic, this and that and the other. So then you have an animal that's not tagged, and it's not registered, and it's not vaccinated. So now have we created another problem? I mean, I like your idea, you know, I like it.
Well, it was done here 2000, early 2000s, and you use this hallway right here in the old fire department, and that's where the vet set up, and you just walk from there right in here and register your dog. I think they charge $5 to register it.
John Cleary would probably do it again if people are willing to come out. The last couple times he came up, nobody came out, so that's why he hasn't said anything.
It's got to be advertised though too.
Kind of likes it advertised, or if it's you,
Yeah.
Chip.
And he gives you a break on the shots too.
Yeah, he does.
When Betty was here, I remember specifically registering the dogs, so it was done. I have another question. Whatever happened to utilizing Blackwell's code enforcement? And at that time, we were talking about using reports.
Still on books. It was approved last year.
It really can't happen because of the legal jurisdiction. You've got too many issues and the judge has already stated reasons why.
Thank you for saving me again, I would have stepped on that one.
I see more abuse than anything.
Abuse.
Well, like the dog was out in the sun, I mean, and it was one of them hot days. And I boldly went up to the door and I said, "You need to get that dog in the shade." Poor thing, or he didn't sit out there. He was asleep. But then, and then there's others that they just kind of tired of the
There's
fence.
some that goes off and don't feed or water the dogs.
Yeah.
That's like animal cruelty in a way.
Well, we could probably debate this all night. And here's the thing. Let's get back to what we started talking about in the first place. If you own an animal, you are responsible for that animal. That includes sheltering, feeding, caring for it, securing it. I mean, is that fair enough?
What about one that yap, 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 yaps?
You are responsible
That's
for
probably
that
ours.
dog. Jesse?
What about people shooting foxes? They don't hurt anybody.
It's the first I've heard of it.
It's
The guy that shoots them.
In town?
I've seen the foxes, they're usually down by the.
Is that person discharging a rimfire weapon or a shotgun in the city
Maybe
limits?
I don't know, maybe I know more about this guy. She's already. He shoots them foxes and their foxes don't hurt anybody.
Called Marshall.
Well, shooting in city limits is against the law, period.
Discharge, I mean, if it is like a 177 caliber or above, discharge of that weapon, I believe in the city limits is a violation.
Yeah.
And so I would need to know more. I mean.
Well,
yeah.
we can talk to Megan Show. She says she's been shooting them.
Okay. Let's bring that to me later.
Okay. Very fine.
Anything else, folks? Counselor, you have anything? Anything else, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for your patience again. It was a very aggressive agenda. If there's no further business to come before the town board, I would move to entertain a motion to dismiss. Ms. Johns has made a motion to dismiss. I second that motion. Roll call vote.
You want to bring a cushion over?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, man, I tell you, it's still hard. I'm just this cushion. These meetings are longer than
What is this? It's gotta go
Old age. Cody bounces up, he didn't say that.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did?